Hill. It just takes a push to purpose. It just takes a push to purpose. Stephen Hill.
It was 1983. Michael Jackson was all over the radio. Who remembers that? Of course. But that was the year that I had to endure going to a park called Geauga Lake. Now let me explain this to you. My grandfather was a mailman, not a postal worker. He was a mailman. He didn't like that. But that was the annual post office picnic. Now let me explain to you how my event at Geauga Lake was. I hated it. I hated Geauga Lake because I did not want to ride the big rides. I was still stuck in the friendly kid rides. The ride you ride with your grandmother. The ride that you just feel like I don't have to be scared of anything. But I was fly now. But back then I had the biker shorts and the messenger cap flipped up and I had the fluorescent shorts on. Don't judge me. But my cousin and I, we were very close. And she said, this year is the year you're going to ride the double loop. Who remembers the double loop? I remember it really good. Well, the double loop was something that she was trying to push me into. And I said, I'm not riding that. She says, yes, you are. Are you a chicken? Well, back then, that was fighting words. You called me chicken, I'm about to square up with you. But then she started laughing and said, come on, let's get on this ride together. We went on the ride, but as we got in line, as you all can remember, the lines were like a maze. You would go in and out, in and out. And as you're in the back of it, you're just having a good time, and you're talking, and you're just engaged. But the closer you got a little bit more afraid. It became something that was present enough to say, I don't want to do this. But my cousin kept saying, oh, come on, come on. So the closer we got, you get to that platform. And as you know, Geauga Lake, all the rides were covered. So you really couldn't look up and see it. But the closer you got to that platform, the more nervous you got. So eventually I started going, well, how can I get out of this? How can I get out of this ride? She says, come on, Stevie, because they called me that back then. So I got up there and I said, well, I'm going to get out of this ride. But as I'm listening, the song by the Police was playing, Every Breath You Take. Now I really got scared and said, I'm going to die. I'm going to die on this ride. Why are they playing this song? But I get up there and try to focus on getting out of the ride, and I see the old miner with his hand out saying, are you this tall? Of course I was taller than my cousin. So she says, well, you can't get out of that. So we're riding in the front. I said, come on. We're riding in the front? She says, we're riding in the front, Stevie, and take your glasses off. So we get in the front. I take my glasses and stick them in my biker shorts. The guy comes down and buckles me in. He says, are you okay? I said, no. No, I want off. She said, shh, he's going to be all right. We get on the ride. We go straight up. And it's not a bad hill. Oh, that wasn't bad. That wasn't bad at all. Then we go down and then I'm looking up and I said, that's the next one? She goes, yeah, that's the next one. That's the good one. Hold your hands up and scream. I said, I don't want to scream. I'm scared. But we go down the hill, and all of a sudden, these rides are just going faster. We're going into transitions. We're going around the corners. We're going bends. And then we do the double loop, and it was like it was so slow. Like, why is this going so slow? Then we go back down, and all of a sudden, the ride is over. I don't know how to take it.